Today, TransUnion, a global credit bureau and information services provider, is announcing the launch of its global in-house center in Chennai. This is the first offshore technology hub for the company, which will play an active role in driving TransUnion's growth and innovation agenda. TransUnion's latest global technology investment, located in Chennai, India, is a cutting-edge facility that supports our operations across all lines of business and support functions. With its rich culture and wealth of talent, India is a natural destination for...
And what we do and what we stand for before we get into the Global Technology Center. So at the highest level, we are an information company. We help manage data, and we turn that data into insight that is used to make better decisions. We are a technology, data, and insights company. And as such, I've been with TransUnion for 7 years. We've gone from looking at technology as a cost center to be managed to a very serious competitive advantage, which means you invest in it, you grow it, and the talent you have behind it makes a difference between competing and winning versus just competing in the marketplace. So it is all about the people. It is all about how we turn data into insights that are valuable for consumers, that are valuable for our business customers. So who is TransUnion? So we as a company are a relatively old company who has reinvented itself to now be much more than just a credit bureau. We are a risk management company that operates around lots of different sectors. We've got about 5,000 employees around the world, and with the addition of the Global Center, we will be adding to the number of people that we have from an overall employee or an associate count. We operate in more than 30 countries. We obviously operate in India, and you'll hear about that, but we are the only bureau, the biggest bureau in Hong Kong. We are the only bureau, the biggest bureau in South Africa. We are in Canada. We are in Central America. We are in South America. And we just made an acquisition of a company called Call Credit, which is the second largest bureau in the UK. So we have operations in all continents. And we have lots of data. I told you we are a data and an insight company. We have about 58 petabytes of data. So what does that mean? Just to illustrate it, 1 petabyte of data allows you to view high definition video. So if you sat there and you watched YouTube in high definition for 14 years, 24/7, that is 1 petabyte of data. We have 58 petabytes of data around the world. So we have a lot of responsibility of not only making sure that we turn that data into insight, but we also have the responsibility of making sure that data is secure and is used appropriately for products that benefit consumers around the world. We have consumer information in our data centers around the world for about 1 in 7 consumers on this planet. So if you think about that, that's about 1.4, 1.5 billion consumers. We have accurate, reliable, verifiable information that is used to manage risk and empower consumers so that they can manage their credit and they can manage their financial histories. And when I look at it from an overall company perspective, we look at ourselves in sort of 3 different buckets. There's the bucket of the US, which is where we sort of originated, which is where we have a large portion of our business. And that includes the credit business, that includes insurance, that includes healthcare, that includes telecommunications, that includes government. So we play in multiple industries. We also have the international business, which again is in 30 plus countries, including a very large and a very important footprint that we have in India. And we'll talk about that. And we have a very large business that is about how do we empower consumers? How do we give consumers enough information for them to understand what credit means to their financial security? And how do they manage that credit? And how do they make sure that they're responsible?
India. Just to expand to what Mohit was talking about, our journey in India actually started 17 years ago. In 2001, we started off as a promoter as well as a technology partner first bureau in India, CIBIL, where it was getting formulated. And that too, I think, a transformational beginning from a credit standpoint in India, where RBI looked at and started on the seats of the Siddiqui committee to say, how do you form a credit bureau in India to be able to truly deliver the vision of faster, cheaper access to credit to all people in India. I think 17 years ago when we started a journey as a credit bureau, and that investment and that partnership has deepened to this point, we can talk about a partnership with financial services in India, in all parts of India, but also talking about how we have leveraged technology to be able to hasten that evolution, if you will. So just to give you a sense of what TransUnion India is and where it is kind of grown. So I've been part of TransUnion now 11 years. I joined when we launched the CIBIL score. And the CIBIL score was the first score in the India market to really talk about and capture the information that exists in the India space. Broad set of information, the first synthesis of information to give you a sense of how you make decisions better. So India is a fast growing and an ever-changing environment, if you will. And all of us sitting in the room today would agree that 10 years ago, none of us expected to get approval for any loan decision in anything less than 14 days. To now, if you walk into a store to try and finance our phone, our expectation is to get that real time. If you're looking for a loan against gold, we expect you to get cash in 5 minutes. If you're applying for a credit card, we want to make sure the piece of plastic is in our hand in 2 days. Right? If you look for a home loan, to make sure that anything more than a week is considered an inadequate process. Our loyalty to banks and lenders is decided by that. And it's a large business. So just to give you a sense of what we do in India, through our journey over the last 17 years, and India has gone through a massive amount of change. We actually are custodians of data, starting from women as part of microfinance borrowers, all the way to the largest companies in India. To give you a sense of scale, over 70 million women who are part of microfinance borrowers, borrowing as part of groups. We actually are custodians of that information every time a bank.
I welcome you all. So as Mohit and Satish mentioned, TransUnion has evolved from a credit bureau to an information and risk management solution company. So we have a lot of information risk management solutions which is affecting the lives of all the people all over the world right now. If we look at over the last few years also, we have strategically grown into a lot of regions. We have been present now in almost all the 5 continents, and we have presence in 33 odd countries right now. But all this success of TransUnion has primarily been driven by a couple of factors. I mean, if we look at the growth story which we have, the underlying theme of TransUnion has been its strong foundation built on technology. So that's where we have been very successful. If we look at the last few years, I will say, there has been a significant technology disruption which is happening all over the world. I mean, if you look at the digital disruptions which are happening, if you look at the traditional IT disruptions which are happening, if you look at even infrastructure, right? There's a lot of disruptions which is happening, and it's very important that organizations stay up to date in technology to be relevant. So the question was, for us to be ready for the future and to be relevant, how do we go about ensuring we are in the right path? So the technology team in TransUnion, we looked at the enterprise strategy. We thought of different options, how do we enable this? The different parameters which came out of it, I mean, some of the parameters were related directly to technology, some was how do we operate, how do we do our offshoring strategy. We have a significant presence in India, as Satish mentioned, not just from the business standpoint, we also have from leveraging a lot of service providers here in India to drive our technologies. So we looked at different options, we used internal assessments, we used external assessments. We arrived that we need a global technology center here to be set up in India, and that will complement in a hybrid operating model for the different teams so that we are enabling our growth going forward. So that's how the story of TransUnion Global Technology Center was set into, and we initiated this process 6 months back, and today here we are on the inauguration day of the center. So if I look at if I look at TransUnion, how it's going to help over the near future, the biggest advantage we have is we are here in Chennai. We feel Chennai is a great place for having professionals which are directly linked to technology, which is related